is Lori with Rock & Co Crafts. I want to thank you for joining me. In today's video, I am making more gifts for Christmas. One of the things I absolutely love about resin is that it makes personalized gift giving easy. If you're like me, when I go shopping for somebody, if I am looking for a gift, I try to keep their personalities in mind as I'm shopping. Resin just makes it so much easier. Now today I will be using, this is the Let's Resin Deeper Geometric Octagon Mold. I'm going to make 3 different coasters. Now 2 of them, I've made something like it in the past. The third one's going to be a little bit different. I have not figured out what to call this video yet, simply because the only thing in common, other than the fact that these people mean a lot to me, or the fact that they're the same shape and they're going to be coasters. So one of the coasters, I am going to use some of the shell casings. Now I did recently do a video where I used shell casings in resin. I actually needed 3 coasters at that time, but I ran out of prepared shell casings. So I have enough now that I can do one. I'm actually going to use the water drop technique. And I'm going to put some water drops on there, and then I'm going to come back in with the metallic mirror holographic powders and make it like rainbowish, and that's for a different individual. And then on the third one, I guess it's been probably a couple of months ago, I found on sale for like $1. These were $1. They're called, let me see if I can get this package out. It's all messed up. Pencil Pouch Charm Pack is what it's called. And these were actually, let me show you how they came in the package. These little black button things, I don't know what they're called, were actually attached to the back. But I went ahead and removed all those. And I'm glad I did that off camera, because it was a little bit difficult to get them off. I just used an X-Acto knife and tried to ever so carefully peel them away from the base, because they were glued down pretty good. But let me show you what came in this packet. There's a school bus, the little ruler, a box of crayons, an apple, and then a notebook. So yes, I'm going to make one for a teacher. I big time appreciate you teachers out there. I don't know how you do it. You have to have a special heart, I think, to be a teacher. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start by getting this fuzz out. The first thing I think I want to do is I want to go ahead and drop some clear, just water drops, into this coaster, because I do want to kind of use I believe the name of the video was Raindrops and Rainbows and Resin or something like that. And I made 2 coasters, and those went fast. Those found a home really fast. But for this person, she's just got such a bubbly, bright, and cheerful personality that I want to make her something bright and cheerful as well. What I'm going to do with this one is after it's cured for several hours, I am going to go back in and brush it with the metallic powders, and then backfill it with black mixed with the glitter. Kind of the same way I did in the Rainbows and Raindrops video. Let me just get a few more of these in, and then we'll move on to the next one. And all of these, I'm going to put backings on both of those, and I'm going to actually let these cure for several hours, because I need to be able to come in and brush this, and I need to be able to place the items in this without worrying about scratching. Just a couple more drops. And if I have any extra left over, I've decided I'm going to put it in with one of the other. And I do have extra resin. I mixed a total of 100 milliliters of resin. Let me set that aside for a second, let it just do some stuff, and I'll look at it again. I have 40 that I've mixed with some copper, and that's what I want to use as a backing for the shell casings. So let me go ahead and get this in there, and 40 should be just enough to put a nice thin layer on the backing, and that's all I want is just a thin layer because I want plenty of room in there to put the shell casings. All right, let me move that out of the way and get my little spreading tool. Make sure there's no dust on it. And just spread this out. And I got it up the side. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay, let me let that set for a second. Wipe my tool off. And try to get this off the side that I splashed up. And the person I'm making this for is a real outdoorsman. I mean, he likes hiking and camping. He also likes to do deer hunting. And I know, I believe it's deer hunt season right now. I'm not a hunter. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of this clear. I have purple mixed. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more drops in here. And then I'm going to put the rest of the clear in with this pre-mixed purple. And I use the purple metallic powders in this. And the reason I chose purple is because it is her favorite color. And I think, it may be fun if she's able to take this and put it on her desk at school. I don't know what the rules are nowadays. And yeah, as you guessed it, this one is for a teacher. And I appreciate all you teachers out there. And because the pieces I'm putting in this one's thin, I originally mixed 40, but I added that extra. So it's probably about 60 in here or 55, something like that. But the pieces that I'll be using in this one are very thin, so I'm not too concerned with them sticking up over the top. And I have my hand in your way. Let me move that. See if I can move the camera back a little bit and get this spread out. Then I want to take my dotting tool around the edges, just because I don't want any bubbles. So let me grab that. I'm going to start here. I just don't want any bubble pits in those little corners there. And on the video where I use the shell casings in resin, I love the way the copper looked in the background. That's why I chose to go ahead and use it in this one. And I know for sure that these need to set for several hours. When I come back, I know for sure that I will need to start placing the casings in this one because they are thicker. I may actually pour a thin layer of clear on this one and let it cure for a few hours before I put anything in there, because I want these to kind of look 3D and be toward the top. All right, so I am going to let this set for, I'm going to say, between 5 and 10 hours. I really need to be able to brush this without worrying about it, and I need to be able to place stuff in this without worrying about scratching it. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I will meet you back here when we're ready to start putting stuff in. See you shortly. So it has actually been closer to 48 hours You know, sometimes life happens, and it happened. So it's been about 48 hours. These are cured. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it all the way around first like this, because in this one, I'm just going to put a little layer of resin. First, let me turn it like this so I have it a little bit closer to me and I can give it a brush. Let me pull this camera up just a little bit. I think no, before I brush, I'm going to pour a little bit of resin in this one and this one, because I mixed 200 milliliters of resin, and I know that that's not going to be enough, but there's just two things there. One, I'm always afraid it's going to cure in the cup before I get it poured, even if that's an unfounded fear. It's one of my fears. And the other is I like to come in and dome later, simply because I've had stuff float up on me and so forth, and I don't want to have to worry about that. So let me just pour a little layer in here and a little layer in here, and that way I won't worry as much about my resin curing in the cup. All right, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to start brushing this one. And this is royal blue is what I'm going to start with. And on the brushing, I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and still haven't kind of come up with the design. So I think I'm just going to, again, kind of like a rainbow, only I want to do double-sided. And I'm going to put a little bit of powder in, and then after I'm done putting the powders in, I'll give it a good burnish. Now, I'm not going to be able to flip it over and thump it, because I was afraid I would knock these two pieces loose, and I don't want to do that. All right, and I have purple. These are still my favorite. Now, I have recently purchased the other metallic set. I have not even tested those yet. Oh, that purple and blue just looks so pretty together. Oh, those look pretty together. All right, let me clean my brush off. And this is light blue. But I never know about my color choices. I just know that blue and that purple really look good together, and the light blue doesn't look bad either. I do want to kind of brush it up the sides, and I will work on that after I get all the powders in. And I am cleaning my brush with a dry cloth or a dry alcohol wipe in between. All right, and some red. I have red left and just blue. So I don't know if I want to do the red. Let me do this blue, and then I may go back in with a little purple and a little blue, because the darker blue, because I like the way that looks. I'm going to do both sides. And I have no idea what this is going to look like, but the colors themselves are gorgeous, and I love the water drop technique. All right, let me find my purple again and my dark royal blue, because I do like the way those look together. I'm just going to do blue on one side, purple on the other, and then we'll burnish this in. I wish this powder showed up as well on camera as it looks in person. It is so pretty. All right, now I'm just going to brush this. Not so hard that I knock my resin drops off, but I do want it brushed, and I want it up the sides. Oh, this is pretty. I love this powder. I need to test the other because I'm sure it's just going to be just as pretty. It's just a different color scheme. Oh, I think this is going to turn out so good. Now, as far as the excess powder, I'm not going to be able to get that out. I do know that it will float up, which is fine because I will come back in and dome it after it cures for several hours so that I hide that. Or maybe I leave it like it is. It may make it pretty on both sides. I don't know yet. Those colors look so good together. All right, let me set that aside. Now, I think before I pour anything, I got to mix it with black. But before I do that, I'm going to again try to turn this so you can see what I'm doing. And start placing some of the shell casings. And I'm just going to use this side right here. Oh, I haven't turned it correctly. I don't want to put them in the purple. I want to put them, my mat's sliding. Let me turn it back like this. Okay, now let me get my tool, a little dotting tool, and start just placing some shell casings around. And I hope to be able to double a few of these up, like on top of each other, but that may not be possible. We'll see. I want to make sure that I don't go over the top because I want to be able to dome it without anything sticking up and over. Let me put that, that should fit. Yeah, that'll fit down in there. I also have a really big projectile. And it looks like it'll fit. Let me see here. And I still have a ton of shell casings I need to prepare. That just is a tedious job. Well worth it. It just takes a lot of time. Let's see if we can put, I wonder, oh, that fell right down in there. I would love to be able to, I don't, yeah, they're so heavy. I don't know that they're going to stay up because the projectiles are, they're extremely heavy. Put one sideways. And there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just putting stuff in there that, I don't know. This one looks unique, so I want to use it. Of course, that one does too. Maybe I move, huh? I can move. It's not going to scratch because it's completely cured on bottom. And move that way. I really would love to get some to stay over top of the other. I wonder if I do. Nope, that fell down in there too. These are just really, really heavy. Well, we're going to stay just like that. And I know that once this cure is in place, I do not believe, yeah, I will not be able to put any on top simply because I did put a backing. But the backing, I think the copper backing looks really good. Well, maybe that should be, that may be enough. It's pretty loaded. Didn't go in the direction I wanted. I'm going to say that's going to be enough. It's pretty loaded. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure Yeah, this one needs to go on its side, unfortunately. Because I want to make sure that when I dome it, there's nothing sticking out on top. I would really, let me grab my tweezers here. I would really love to get another one of these to overlap something. They're just so heavy. I guess the fact that I got one to do it, that's something. These are just super heavy. I'm going to fiddle with it and mess it up. Just like that. I have a tendency of doing that. Yeah, it's not going to. It's heavy. All right, I need to stop fiddling with this. I'm just probably going to make things worse. Let's see if I can grab that. Okay. I need to stop. All right. Stop there. That's enough. I'm going to go ahead and let this one and this one cure for a couple of hours. I'm going to do the same thing with this, but before I do anything else, I need to get it poured. I'm going to move these out of the way. Right now, I think this one is so pretty. Okay. I'm going to use the Let's Resin Black Epoxy Resin Pigment Paste. Let me put about, I don't know, 4 drops and see what we have. One. Okay. I'm going to give that a good stir and see if I think it's dark enough. And this, the pigment paste, it goes a long ways. I just want to get that stirred in real well, and then I'll check it to see if it's dark enough. And then I'm going to add some glitter. Let me clean my stick. I'm going to give it a little dip. And I do. I think that that's dark enough. And again, I'm just using this as the extra fine glitter. It's the Glitz Brilliant. And I got this on sale at Michael's. I love this glitter. And I think I'm actually going to put like 2 spoons in there. 2 heaping spoons. I'm afraid to take it over anything because I don't want you to drop it. But 2 heaping spoons like that. I love the way this glitter looks in the black. I love this glitter. And we'll give it a stir. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but these, the octagons, they take 260 milliliters each. So I know that I'm going to have to come back in, which is fine. I'm good with that because I prefer to dome at the very end. This is so pretty. I'm going to go ahead and get that poured. Let me scrape the cup. I know I'll get my hand in your way. This glitter just, it takes on hues of greens and blues when it's in the black. It's just so pretty. And yes, I still have plenty of room in all of these. Now, in I'll give it 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll come back in, and I'm going to go ahead and put the apple and the crayons and stuff in the teacher coaster, and go ahead and pour some more in this one and this one. But I do need to let them set for 2 or 3 hours because I want to make sure I can put the items in this without them sinking, because I want it to have a bit of a 3D effect. Let me get that lid on that. All right, well, I will see you in a couple of hours when we're ready to put the items in this and add some more resin to these two. See you shortly. I have mixed another 200 milliliters of resin. Now on this one, I am going to wait. I need for it. It's been like 2 hours and this is sticky, but I have learned by experience that if I go ahead and put more on here now, that powder will continue to come up. So I'm going to leave this one for later, and I'll probably do that off camera because it's just going to be the black epoxy paste and resin. Let me go ahead and start by putting some on these shells. Stop there for a second. Ideally, I should be able to dome this one, and then I'm going to add some here and put the school things in. And then I will dome this after it sits for a couple of hours. And I'll do that off camera as well. I have a big bubble there I'm trying to get out. Okay, let me add a little bit more to this one. It's just almost there. I just want a good dome on there so there's no sharp edges. And that looks pretty good to me. Okay, I'm going to add the rest of it into here. Let me get every little drop out. I apologize for having my hand in your way. Okay, let me set that aside. I don't know if I'm going to need my tweezers or not. It might be best. Let me give this a quick spritz with alcohol. I see some surface bubbles. And I see another little bubble in the corner here. Definitely going to have to watch out for these little corners. Here's one. Really don't want bubble pits if I can avoid them. Okay, let me start with, I think I'll probably just use my fingers. It's just easier. I'm going to put the school bus down here. And I definitely want to give it some taps, just in case there's air bubbles underneath. And maybe I don't want to wiggle these around too much because the resin underneath it's sticky, but it's not cured hard. I want to try to make sure these are somewhat centered. Let me give this some taps. Okay, I think over here I'm going to put the little notebook. These are just so cute. There was only one package, or I probably would have picked up more at $1. I mean, $1 is not bad at all. And I can't remember. I think it was at Walmart that I found these, but I'm not absolutely sure because it's been a couple of months. Let me put the little crayons over here. I'm trying to get those straight. And then I think I want the apple in the center. And I'm just lightly tapping them in case there's any bubbles underneath. That looks a little crooked there. And hopefully these won't float up. Hopefully they'll stay in place. Okay, well, the next step is I'm going to let these sit for a couple of hours, and then I'll mix some more of the black epoxy paste with the resin and glitter and dome this one, and then I'll dome this with clear. I'll do all of that off camera, and then I will meet you back here for the unmolding. I'll see you shortly. It is time for the unmolding. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but I will post links to the rainbow and raindrops video and using shell casings and resin video, as well as a link to some of the products I use. I will post those in the description box below. Let's go ahead, and I think I'm going to start. I'm going to start with this one. I just really love the way shell casings, that looks really cool to me. I like to look in the sides. But I like the way this turned out, and offhand I don't see any bubble pits. Even the back looks cool. But I do like the brass colored mica in the background of the shell casings. So there's that one. Kind of set that aside. Let's go ahead and pull this one out for the teacher. I like the way that looks too. They're not as far off the bottom as I had originally planned, but I still think it looks really pretty. And unfortunately, this purple doesn't show up on camera just how pretty it is. So there's that one, and let's go ahead and see how this one turned out. And it's possible I may have to put a top coat on this because I am wearing my mold out. I use these deeper geometrical molds so often that I am starting to wear them out, and it may be a little dull on top. We're getting ready to find out. But there's the back. The glitter just looks so pretty. Let's turn it over and see. That is pretty. And it's not as dull as I was expecting it to be really dull, but it's not. Oh, that is so pretty. I love the way that turned out, and the blue and the purple just look so pretty together. The light, I believe this was like a lighter blue. It almost looks like silver in here, but I really like the way it turned out. So there's that coaster, and I do have the little rubber bumpers that you stick on the back so that it keeps the coasters from sliding around when you're using them. Well, this is the finished product or products. And I still haven't really thought of a name for the video. I will have to put some title on there. But if you have any suggestions for a better title, let me know in the comments below. I do want to thank you for watching and ask you to consider hitting the like, share, and if you haven't already, the subscribe buttons. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks.